Come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night and I won't be long. Gotta do my hair and put my makeup on. It's Friday night and I won't be long. Come on.
Radio is very important, not only because you are media students, but because communication is a very great part of our lives. And this radio, as you see over here, was one of the very first wireless communicators that reached everywhere.
Come listening to a radio station where the mighty host of heaven sing. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
If you wanna feel those good vibrations coming from the joy that His love can bring, turn your radio on. Turn your radio on.
Okay, before your television, before everything, we had the radio. And today we're going to talk about the subject, the topic, reinvention of the radio. Now, a few years ago, television was the big thing. Okay, television came on and people thought that radio was dead. Okay, especially in our country, more and more people began watching television. And after television, you had your mobiles and the small screens, and people thought for a while that radio, because it did not have any visuals, was dead. But is that true? Is that true? No. If this were true, if radio was dead, why do we have new radio stations coming up? Why are people investing? Why are big corporations investing in putting up radio stations? So let's have a look at this. Okay, first point is that television was seen as a threat to radio. So in order to counter the threat of television, radio had to reinvent itself. Okay, and now how did radio reinvent itself? That is what we are discussing in this class. Now, there are so many emerging technologies in the world today, and you know that we have the internet, we have streaming services, we have all kinds of competing technologies. And just like print, radio also had to have a strategy to deal with these new and emerging technologies. That is why we talk about the diversification of radio. Now, the first thing that was done was what we call format diversification. It means that we had to look at the way radio programs were being made and how do we make those radio programs more interesting for the people who listen to them. That was the main question. So radio began trying to reach out to different segments. Now the age of broadcasting, where one program could be entertaining or could be accessed by everybody because there was no choice, there was no alternative, now that era has gone. So radio had to look at how to engage different sections of the audience, and that is why they had to relook at the programming and at the formats.
I'd sit alone and watch your light, my only friend through teenage nights, and everything I had to know, I heard it on my radio.
Now, one word you have to remember when we are looking at this is the word hyper-local. Now, we are moving from broadcasting to narrowcasting. So radio had to change its programming so that we have hyper-local radio stations. That means the radio stations that cater to local people, and this is what FM radio has done. Okay, FM radio does not broadcast through very wide audiences. It broadcasts to specific towns and specific areas. So this is what we mean by when we say we have hyper local content. People want to know what is happening at the supermarket, others want to know what is happening in their cities and in their towns, and they want to know it fast. Okay, so this is where radio can come in. By the time the television looks for the images, radio can already broadcast that news. And that is why hyper local content means that radio's unique position gets up there over what television can do. Now, one of the things that are very interesting, and this is something that you can listen to on All India Radio, on Radio Mirchi, on any FM station, they have call-in programs where you can dial up the radio station, you can talk to the RJ, you can request songs, and you can have chit-chat. So this is what we call an interactive radio program. Okay, you have call-ins, you have request shows, and this is one way in which radio can do something that television normally can't. Okay, so if you want to request a show, you want to have advice, you want to ask a question, you want to give a comment, you can do this on live radio. So that is one very interesting way in which radio has diversified. Okay, now as you say, this is the era, this is the Javana of the mobile phone, isn't it? Now, if you look carefully at your mobile phone, you will find that there is always an option where you can listen to radio. So nowadays, radio comes packed into your mobile phone. So actually, you are having a radio set with you, carrying radio wherever you go. So this is also one very interesting way in which radio has come right into your pocket and you don't even know it, isn't it? So you see, we have various apps right here in your mobile phone, and which I will be showing you. You can see on the screen. Okay. Now these apps, when you load these apps into your mobile phone, you can listen to radio stations all across the world. You can listen to radio stations from England, America, Japan, Germany, anywhere, and you can get real-time radio. Now this also is how modern technology has been used and how radio is using modern technology to deal with its competitors. Okay?
All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo, Radio Gaga. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio blah blah, Radio what's new, Radio someone still loves you.
When you are riding your motorbike or when you are driving a car, okay, you can easily listen to your favorite radio station. You can listen to the music, you can listen to the latest news, you can listen to the traffic updates when your radio plays via your mobile phone or via an app into your ear. Okay, suppose there was a television screen in front of you, definitely you would not be able to drive and get information at the same time. Okay, so this is what radio has done, how it still dominates the communication scene. Another important thing, radio is not only limited to your box, it is not limited to your mobile phone. What happens is this: radio comes to your college, radio comes to your schools when radio collaborates with your schools, colleges and sponsors to hold different programs and different competitions. And you know this very well because all your local radio stations at some point of time have collaborated with your schools and colleges to produce interesting programs. And this is another way radio earns its revenue. That's another way in which radio makes money, through sponsorships and through live programs. Now, why would somebody listen to radio? Well, somebody says, oh, I like this RJ, I like that RJ, I like the way this person presents a program, I like the way Jhaji has jokes on Radio Mirchi or something like that. So what happens now, the radio has demonstrated that they can actually have RJs with niche personalities. So they come on stage, they put on a personality and they are in that personality, and people become fans of that on-air personality. It may not be the actual personality of the person. Okay, so that's what you listen to radio for comedy, for sarcasm, for something interesting. And this is again how radio has reinvented itself. Some people like sports, so you have radio stations which only deal with sports. Some people like music, so you have all kinds of music. If you go to the internet, you go to Global Radio app, and you will find over there that there are radio stations which only deal with classical music, only deal with jazz music, only deal with rock music. So you have very specific radio stations where you can get what you want. You also have something called talk radio, where people talk all the time. They give you can ring up, you can give your opinions about anything, you can ask questions to psychologists or to doctors or whatever. So this is what we call broadcasting to niche audiences, audiences with special interests. So for example, if you love fashion, I'm quite sure there is a radio station out there which only talks about fashion. So this is what this entire program has been about. How radio is no longer this same dabba. How radio has now got into your homes, got into your mobile phones, and it's also got into your consciousness. So radio is still relevant, and radio is a great communication medium. That's all for today. We shall meet again another time, another place, for another episode of Radio Talk.